Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Snap Judgments. This is Randy, and I have brought on Chris Ransom from Draft Utopia. We're going to do a little bit of Patriots mock drafting and talk about some things there. Just going to mention a couple things real quick off the bat. Steph Diggs got cut. I did a short on that when it happened, so I'm not going to say too much on that. And then the Garrett Bradbury thing, just compliments for the front office because I thought he was going to be a cap casualty anyway. Then, stroke of luck, two starting centers retire on the same day. Drew Dahlman, Brian Kelly. They create a market and they turn this into future draft capital. Hats off to the Patriots front office.
I
Uh,
love to see it.
yeah, listen, it was such a good move, such a smart move for them right now, just to get some value out of that. Because
You
I
can
thought
move
he was going to
Jared
be cut.
Wilson back to center too.
Exactly. It just opens up the pathway. There's no struggle within the locker room or any of that sort of thing. So let's hop right into this. First, I just want to know, how did you get started doing this stuff?
Okay. Well, when I worked for Rant Sports, I had a few of my Patriot articles featured on ESPN, and we had a site called Mock Draft Mania where we covered all the pro sports drafts, NBA, NHL, MLB, Major League Soccer, NFL. It was the first of its kind. So then I created a podcast called Draft Utopia, and I took that concept with me because I wanted to start a podcast based off the draft content. And then after Rant decided to move on from me, I decided to take the Draft Utopia podcast and website viral. And then I didn't learn how to code until 2015, so I had to use like the GoDaddy website builder for 2 years. And then once I learned how to apply my code to a web server, I've been doing that ever since for the past 11 years. Finally figured out how to build draft simulators this fall, so that's cool. But yeah, we're going to use a different simulator besides mine, and we're going to get a different perspective on your picks as well as mine. 11 picks today. So I think it's going to be a blast. And yeah, I've been doing draft content for each of the major pro sports, and we tapped into the WNBA when Caitlin Clark entered the league a few years ago, too. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you're really opening some doors for yourselves over there, and that's really, really good stuff. Um,
thanks.
Listen, before we get these drafts started off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your approach to evaluating draft prospects, how you start things, and kind of how you compile your grades?
Um, my approach is I look for what a player can become down the road. I also look at different things with different positions. For example, quarterbacks, I'm always looking at accuracy, footwork, arm strength, progressions, internal clock. There's just so many variables with quarterbacks. Can they throw on the run? Are they better at throwing on the run to the left or the right? There's just so many variables. The variables feel endless. Receivers, it's the route tree, catching in traffic. Speed's important too. It's a bonus, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. But a lot of other teams would disagree. Tackles, I look for pass blocking, run blocking, zone blocking, strength on pass blocking and run blocking, footwork on those positions, zone blocking, cut blocking, pull blocking, pancake blocking. Do they knock the defender down on a block? So there's just a lot of things I look at. Edge rushers, it's basically speed, strength, block shedding, hand rip moves, swim moves, spin moves, just any variety of move that allows that player to get to the quarterback. And do they do it consistently? Do the pressures and sacks add up? Sometimes you get a guy who gets 10 sacks, but he doesn't get a lot of pressures. And other times you get a guy like Ruben Bain, not 10 sacks this year, but he led the country in pressures. So
Yeah, yeah, guys that got to finish. That's really
exactly.
what they've got to do. Listen, we're coming right out of the combine. Give us one measurement and one test that matter to you at the combine.
Well, I my favorite part of the combine's actually the gauntlet because I get to see the receivers and tight ends try to catch everything at such a supersonic rate. I like seeing quarterbacks throw deep too. That's always fun. So those are probably my
Okay,
two
and one
favorite
measurement.
parts. The combine, the wave drill's great for offensive linemen and defensive linemen because you get to gauge the player's balance on blocking assignments, or if they're trying to get past the line of scrimmage, you get a gauge for the defensive player's balance as well.
Okay. Nice. Now, how about one measurement? Is there one measurement that's important to you with the combat?
The measurements, I
Like
think,
for me, it's hands. Like you got to
yes.
have some big old
Yeah.
mitts. Okay, that's what I like. If you've got real small hands, that's a red flag for me.
I think usually it varies by position, but I agree with quarterbacks, receivers, corners, it's definitely the hand size. With offensive linemen, defensive linemen, it's more the arm length.
Okay.
But
All right.
I felt like Will Campbell was good enough to play left tackle despite the arm length concerns a lot of people had about him coming out of LSU last year. He was my second player in the draft behind Travis Hunter in my final evaluation.
Nice. Yeah, I have maintained throughout this process that even if the Patriots had the number one overall pick last year, they would have taken Will Campbell,
I
and they would
agree
have put
with
him in
that
at left
because
tackle.
he had the play in the private workout where he knocked Vrabel on his rear end. And as soon as that happened, the Patriots knew they were getting Campbell. I in my mock draft, I gave the Patriots Luther Burden. They went Trevian, and I had Kyle Monangai as my running back 5. I had a second round grade on Monangai, even though he fell to the Bears in round 7. So
Yeah.
I probably would have picked Burden and tried to get Monangai. That's the only thing I think Elliot Wolf should have done differently. But other than that, I thought he had a really good second draft, much better
Yeah.
draft than his first draft in 2024. But at least he got his quarterback in that draft in Drake May.
Yeah, I was high on Monangai too, and I thought that was almost like a product of being a Patriots fan, and it was because Monangai does not drop the ball. Like that was one of the biggest things that I liked about him was he does not drop the ball. He hadn't dropped the ball since like Pop Warner or something like that. He hadn't had a fumble, and I was like, that right there, that's what we like here.
Yeah. But Trevian
So
had a good year.
yeah, no, and he did. He had a few explosive runs. He's got some work to do. Obviously, he's got to be able to get himself on the field, get better in those pass pro reps. When you're better in things like that, then you get on the field, you get reps, and when you get reps, you get opportunity, and then that turns into production. So it's just a step by step thing for him, I think. Um, what do you think this draft cycle could mean to this Patriots team in the stage of building up this? I think that they're building a dynasty here. I don't think
I
they're building
agree.
a one
I mean,
championship run.
I look at the positional value pyramid. I think the Browns, the Chiefs with John Dorsey, the Browns with Dorsey, and then Elliot Wolf, who worked under Dorsey, now on the Patriots. Those are the 3 teams that I think use the positional value pyramid more than anyone else. So tier 1 is quarterback. We have that in Drake May. And then tier 2, you have left tackle. And then I would argue corners are now more important than edge rushers with the personnel. I still think edge rushers are important, but I would argue now that the most important position on defense is corner versus edge rusher because 2 teams in last year's Super Bowl, they didn't really have a guy with 10 sacks in the regular season, but they both had lockdown number 1 corners. Seahawks had Witherspoon. We had Christian Gonzalez. So I would definitely argue corners now the most important position on defense. I probably wouldn't have argued that 5 or 10 years ago as pass rushers. I don't care if you're on the 34 like the Steelers or the 43 like the Browns. Pass rushers are a premium. I still think they're a premium, but I think you have to have a number 1 corner now in today's NFL to make a run at the Super Bowl or even win it. I mean, you look at the last few Super Bowls, um, the Chiefs won, the one where the Eagles kept the Chiefs from repeating. All of those teams had lockdown number 1 corners. So I would argue cornerbacks now the most important position on defense. But edge rusher's right behind them. And then after edge rusher, you're looking at defensive tackle, 34 nose tackle, 43 D tackle, and then wide receiver 1. So the Patriots, as long as they get one of those 3 positions and it's genuinely the best player on the board, I don't think you can be too upset with their first round pick. But
Okay.
this draft, it feels like a draft. We have 11 picks. We could hold them all. We could trade down. We could move up. This feels like a draft where we can get long-term stability at a lot of positions if we capitalize on every single one of our picks. And I felt like up until the 7th round of last year's draft, the Patriots were perfect in rounds 1 through 6. I thought they whiffed on a few of their 7th rounders, but they were perfect in rounds 1 through 6. Up until after they got Borregales, that's where it felt like, okay, the Patriots are no longer trying to continue to add talent in the final picks. They're just looking for depth guys, role players at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're certainly trying to build a roster, not collect talent. I think, and I think that's
Yeah,
undoubtedly a Mike Vrabel philosophy for things. Um,
yeah,
so, what do
couldn't
you think
agree
the
more.
Patriots' biggest needs are coming into this draft right now? What do they want to get out of this draft class? And this is pre-free agency, obviously.
I would say the three positions I mentioned: edge rusher, nose tackle, and wide receiver. And because you have Harold Landry, because you have Farmer and Corey Durden, it is a matter of best player available. And because you cut Diggs, it's a matter of best player available versus, okay, you have to draft this position, period, end of discussion. That's not the case. That's not the boat the Patriots are in right now, Randy. I would
Yeah.
say as long as you draft one of those three positions and it's genuinely the best player on the board at 31, you're going to be okay.
Okay. All right. And offensively, what do you think the needs
A
are offensively?
left guard's also an area you got to look at if you move Wilson over to
Yeah.
center. I don't think they're going to keep Wilson at left guard, but if they do, they have to get a center. But I think they're going to move Wilson to center and they're going to get a left guard either in free agency or the draft. Free safety, I think you have to look at that position if Hawkins leaves. Running back depth on day 3 to replace Gibson. That'll save you cap space in the long run. A tight end, too, is needed next to Hunter Henry. I think Njoku and Pitts would both be fantastic options if you went the free agency route. But if you go in the draft, you could get an Eli Stowers or a Max Clare at 63 if you really wanted to get a tight end that early. I don't know what the Patriots are thinking internally there. So I've heard they like those two. I heard they like Oscar Delp. I'm thinking they're going to get a free agent, and they're either going to get Delp in the late rounds as a tight end 3, or they're going to get a tight end early because they couldn't attract the free agents they wanted. We'll see what happens this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, I mean, certainly this week is going to reveal a lot of things about the team's draft needs and draft intentions, perhaps. Um, I do agree with the tight end thing, too. I like Isaiah Likely. Um, and I think that, well, Kyle Pitts got franchise tag.
That's another
So
great one.
you would have to
Likely,
trade for him. Yeah, Likely. And he's a local
I
kid. He's from
forgot Pitts got
Cambridge.
tagged.
Yep.
That's yeah,
But yeah, Likely's a local kid. He's from Cambridge. He would make a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. He's mostly a pass catching guy, not a real big blocker, but it would make sense. I think the left guard, sign one and draft one. Sign a guy like in the later stages of his career, bring that experience between Campbell and Wilson, kind of help them figure some things out because they were getting fooled a little bit last year, and then by the time this veteran guard is
Onwenu's in a
ready to move on,
contract year 2, I believe. Michael Onwenu, our right guard, who
he
actually
is,
has some
yes.
experience at right tackle. So if the Patriots can't secure a quality left guard in free agency, I think they will re-sign Onwenu to save face. I don't know what they'll do with the left guard position in free agency, but if they fail to attract the left guard they want, I think they'll just extend Onwenu and say, we tried our best to get a quality left guard, but this is our way of saving face. They're not going to say that publicly, but they're going to be thinking it internally.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a number of veteran left guard options in the free agency market that
I
they
agree.
should be able to get one of those guys in the eight, nine, $10 million a year range. I think they should
Agreed.
extend on Wayne you anyway. Like you want to create a
Agreed.
situation where you don't want to get rid of your best offensive lineman who that was on Wayne you this past year. You want to create a situation where a guy like Onwenu is no longer your best offensive lineman. He's still on the team, but he's like the third best guy.
Yeah.
You want to get talent and grow that drafted talent and all that sort of thing. So, all right, let's hop right into a mock draft here.
Sounds good.
Got it pulled up. Let me just share this screen out and hope that my computer doesn't hate me for it. Oh, I'll be right here setting up
Yeah.
Pick 31. All right. So that's right. I pulled this up. Let me add this to the street.
All right. So
There we go. All right. So we're sitting right here at pick 31. What positions would you
can I
like to
see
take
who's
a
been
look at?
picked? Can I see who's been picked? That'll give me a
Absolutely.
better idea of.
All right, okay, let's scroll right on up to the top here so the viewers can see too. Like Mendoza, obviously, first. Bailey, Reese, Styles, and Bain off the board in the top five. Then the receivers started. Tate, Downs, Sadiq, Love, Mansour, Delane rounds out the top 10.
That's a
Caleb
good
Landry
top
went
10.
quite early to Miami.
Yep.
Uh, Jamad McCoy, Peter Woods
Peter
maintained
Woods,
his value.
Makai
Kai
Lemon,
Leonard's 14.
Jordan
15, the
Tyson.
third wide receiver came off the board, Jordan Tyson, and a traded pick. Marinoa, 16. That's a bit of a fall for him. Falk, Dienneman, Fano, Duani. Then we've got Banks, McDonald, Proctor, Mesidor, Freeling, and Miller. Uh, uh, that's the 20s there. And Parker,
Okay.
Allen, Hunter, and Omar
I,
Cooper Jr.
I don't even think Omar Cooper Jr. is the best receiver on Indiana.
And then
In
we
fact, the
were on the
third
clock.
best player on my board is Elijah Surratt. The third best player on my current big board, separate from the PFF one, is Elijah Surratt, 6'2", 203-pound receiver, has 44 touchdowns over 4 seasons at Indiana, had a minimum of 8 touchdowns in each season at James Madison in Indiana under Kurt Signetti. Excellent route runner and very consistent football player. I think he's the best receiver on Indiana. I know there's some people that have Cooper ranked ahead of Surratt, but I like Surratt more. He's my 4th best receiver in this class, my 20th best overall player. I also like edge rusher Derek Moore out of Michigan, who had 10 sacks, but Derek Moore's 23, Surratt's 22, and Surratt turns 23 in June. Moore turns 24 in December. So that did factor into my decision to pick Elijah Surratt at 31 in the group mock we're doing. We're doing a Draft Utopia group mock over on our private Facebook group, and I ended up taking Elijah Surratt, Indiana wide receiver, 31st overall, to give Drake May that long-term security blanket on a very team-friendly rookie contract. Now, this could change if they trade for
Okay,
A.J.
and that's
Brown
what
or
you want
get
to
a
do here?
receiver, but I wanted Elijah Surratt.
All
I've got a first-round
right.
grade on Surratt.
Elijah Surratt, it is at 31. You got a first round grade on him?
Yeah, I had a first-round grade on Surratt. Yeah, if a
Yeah,
good
and I
edge
think
rusher
he's,
is there,
his floor almost to me is the Raiders' second pick there.
yeah, I think Surratt is going to be really good. Um, I would say his floor is maybe Vincent Jackson, and his ceiling might be, I don't want to say Mike Evans, but I think his ceiling is going to be a really good player. I'm thinking of a player, from the Packers days in the 90s. Thinking Antonio Freeman. I think that's basically what Surratt is going to end up becoming with the right development. Oh no, it's kind of an old school comp,
Okay. All right.
but
A little bit.
yeah, you
All
would
right.
have
Well,
preferred if
listen,
I
we're an
said
old
Troy
school
Brown or
podcast. I
Terry
am wearing a
Glenn.
Troy Brown jersey currently, okay?
Yeah, Troy Brown or Terry Glenn probably would have been more appropriate comp, but hey, I mean, to
All
each
right.
his
So we're
own,
here at
right?
pick 63. Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, so we're here at pick 63 now.
This
Got a
is
few edge
tough
rushers on the
because
board.
I'm
Dave
looking.
Akis, DDS, Derek Moore.
You know what? Are we allowed to take trade offers in this or no? Or you just want us to pick?
I'd like to stick and pick, honestly. I
Okay.
do
All
think that
right.
realistically there's going to be some movement because I don't think we have 12 roster
Yeah,
spots
I
or
agree. I agree
11 roster spots.
because
So I think we're going
Derek
to
Moore
have to
was the
move,
player
but
I
I
was
just prefer
considering at
to.
31. Derek Moore, he had 10 sacks at Michigan. He can play in a 34 or a 43 defense. Um, if Derek Moore wasn't older than Surratt, I think he would be a I think he'd be the guy at 31, but I will gladly take Derek Moore at 63 since that's the edge rusher I want at 31 if Surratt's gone. So I will gladly take Moore and pair him next to Harold Landry, and that takes care of our pass rush. So going back to back Big Ten picks here with these
Okay.
first two selections.
Derek Moore it is. Yeah, and Derek Moore really entered the scene in this offseason,
He had a
or the
great Senior Bowl.
pre-draft season, if you will, when he took down the tower that is Markel Bell at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he had an
Now,
amazing Senior
Derek Moore
Bowl.
ran through just about everyone at the Senior Bowl,
He
except
did.
for Max Ihenacor. But yeah, he had an overall a great Senior Bowl. Really popped there. Really impressed a lot of people.
I agree.
All right, we're back on the clock here. We're at 95.
And I had a first on Derek
There's a
Moore
name
as
you
well, a
mentioned
late
earlier, Eli
first.
Stowers.
Is Eli Stowers the best player on the board?
Okay.
I'm asking, is he the best
He is
player on the
BPA
board?
right now. Now, I know in a lot of mocks he's. What's that?
Eli
Right now,
Stowers
yes.
is 30.
Yeah.
Eli Stowers is the best player on the PFN board, correct? Best overall player on the current
Yeah, right
PFN
here.
board? Okay. I was going to go
Yeah.
with a nose tackle here, but I got Stowers at 32 right behind Derek Moore on my board. So I cannot pass on that this late in the third round, especially if he's the best overall player on the board. I guess I'll have to wait until round 4 to get my nose tackle. Yes, Stowers it is. We
Okay.
get another weapon for Drake May. Even if we get a good free
So
agent,
Rivers has jumped into the
Stowers is
first
not a
round.
player I'm going to pass on.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, he has jumped into the first round in many mock drafts, so getting him at 95 is certainly a value. We're sitting
What
here
are
at
the
125.
D linemen on the board?
Can 131 also.
Can we please take a look at the D linemen that are available?
Here are the D tackles.
D tackle,
Edge
that
rushers.
works.
And then linebackers, just in case there's. There you go.
I'm looking.
Zane Durant really put on a show at the combine there. Tim Keenan.
Why is Tim Keenan so low?
Interviewed very
He's my
well,
third best defensive tackle in the draft, and he's won triple teams. Like he legitimately won triple. He won some triple teams against Georgia and Indiana. What is he still doing here? I want Keenan.
It's interesting. He is a okay. He is a, Tim Keenan has definitely been a bit of a divisive player in my experience. I know people who have that exact reaction you just did, and then I know people who think he should be undrafted. So he is definitely a polarizing player in this draft process. All right, we're back on the clock here. 6 picks later, 131.
The Bears. I was really hoping Bud Clark would fall to this pick.
Wow.
What else do we got to work with, though? Let me look at. I'm thinking about what I want to do for a few seconds.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just scanning at what's there. A solid cornerback class, even deep. How do you feel about Kyle Lewis there?
I do like Kyle Lewis. I had a preseason top 10 grade on him. I mocked him to Seattle. I'm not opposed to getting him if that's our best option here. But it's like we have a number two corner. We've got Craig Woodson. He's a great, strong safety. I'm looking at could we have two good five techniques in Milton Williams and Barmore. As long as we don't release either one, I'm happy with what we have on the interior defensive line. We have a second edge rusher in we just drafted a second edge rusher. We don't have an inside linebacker, but the thing with Kyle Lewis is I gave him an A plus in man and zone coverage when I watched his preseason tape. If he can play inside linebacker, that's perfect. If he can't, I think we got to go with a free safety here. But those are the next two positions I'm looking at specifically: a middle linebacker to complement Spillane, and and a free safety. And I think Kyle Lewis is probably the best overall player at this spot as well. So I think we go Kyle Lewis and we draft him as a Mike linebacker. We can always use him as a third pass rusher as well if he can't win the starting job right out of the gate. So there's multiple ways we can utilize him. And he's excellent in both man and zone coverage. Great run stuff, right? I mocked him ninth overall to Seattle in August. So I love Kyle Lewis. I will gladly take Kyle Lewis here. He had an awesome Senior Bowl too, by the way. So I will gladly take Lewis here.
Yeah, he really popped off at the Senior Bowl in coverage drills, made several interceptions, a lot of plays on the ball. Excellent option there. All right, well, here we are at pick 170. We're in round five now. Our next pick is at 191. And
What are the
I know you
safeties
mentioned safety
available?
at the last pick. Is that where you want to start looking right now, or?
I'm just looking at the options here. Okay, these options aren't great options. I mean, I yeah, there are a few guys I like at safety, but there's nothing spectacular here at this point in the draft. I don't see a player that's all right. So what are the running back options available to us?
There you go. We got Nick Singleton at the top.
Singleton's a great option
Janella
here from a
there.
value standpoint. I mean, he was my
Le'Veon
preseason running
Bell.
back too. I had a fourth round grade on him now. To get him as a running back three to Henderson and Stevenson, that is premium value in my opinion. And I think that's the pick to make because he was preseason running back two behind Jeremiah Love. I moved him down to round four behind his teammate Catrone Allen, but I will gladly take Singleton here in round five. I think he brings a lot to the
Okay.
table, and he's a perfect replacement to Antonio Gibson, in my opinion.
All right. So before we get into these four round six picks, let's take a review of the picks you've made so far. At 31, we took Elijah Surratt, wide receiver out of Indiana. 63, Derek Moore, edge rusher out of Michigan. 95, Eli Stowers, high jumper and tight end out of Vanderbilt. 125, Tim Keenan, non high jumper and defensive tackle out of Alabama. Kyle Lewis at 131, linebacker safety hybrid out of Pittsburgh. And 170, Nick Singleton, running back with a hurt ankle out of Penn State. He's the opposite of having a good Senior Bowl. That guy, hopefully,
Yeah.
he comes back.
Let's look at the interior
Here we are
offensive
at
line. We've waited.
191. Romello Height is still on the board. Holy crap.
Mellow height.
Sorry,
That's not a bad
wouldn't
player.
surprise me. Romello Height being on the board at 191 is surprising.
I want to look at the interior
No, I agree.
offensive
I
line.
mean, look, when people were talking about him in the second round, yeah. No, look, when people were talking about Romello Height in the second round, I had issues with it. At 191, that's not bad.
I agree that's not bad,
In
but I
round
want to
six, man,
see
that makes sense. Yeah.
I want to see what we
Oh, I don't
have.
even mean specifically for us. I just mean, yeah. Oh, there's some good offensive guards here too.
There are some good offensive guards.
I mean, Reed Adams out of Texas A&M, Jeremiah Wright out of Auburn, another good Senior Bowl guy. Billy Shrout out of Notre Dame there. I like him.
Yeah, I think
Center position. Pat Coogan on the championship team. Jaeger Burton. A
Pat
lot of people
Coogan's
like
my
him.
number 2 center in the draft. I wasn't going to draft a center for depth, but out after Iowa's Logan Jones, I have Pat Coogan at 2 and I have Jake Slaughter at 3. So if Pat Coogan's still there, because I have Coogan graded ahead of some of the guys I picked. So let's take Coogan here and get some depth up front. I'm probably going to get more interior
That makes
linemen as
sense to
this
me. I
draft
mean,
progresses, but we need an insurance plan in case Jared Wilson struggles at center in the
yeah, and I
NFL.
feel
He was
like
a great
Coogan could
college
move
center.
around a little bit. I don't feel like Coogan is stuck at center. I feel like he could move around a little bit, provide backup in a Ben Brown type role.
Yeah. Um, I'm looking to see what else we can do.
All right, so
Um,
where do you want to look now?
I think I'm gonna keep. I think I'm gonna keep looking at the interior. I think we're gonna get. We're gonna get. This is tough because I love Armaj Reed Adams. I was when I did my preseason mock, I was debating between Reed Adams and Carmona for that last spot on the Ravens in round 1. Ultimately, Reed Adams won out. And I think Reed Adams, even though Carmona had a great Senior Bowl too, I think Reed Adams is the better value pick here. Hopefully, we can get all 3
Okay.
guys, but I think I'm going to go Reed Adams. I don't think Carmona is going to be there later, and if he's not, we'll just worry about left guard and middle linebacker when we get to
There
our
he is.
next pick.
Yeah, I mean we only have 7 picks between 202 and 209. So Carmona is
Yeah,
there. If you're still looking
yeah.
down, if
Let's
you'd like
get
to look down
Carmona.
positions,
Let's
we can do that
let's
too.
let's triple up on the interior. So
And then 3 picks later, we're up again. This round 6, we have 4 picks. So
we're
it's just
looking
boom,
at
boom, 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 boom.
yeah. We've got
Ooh, the kid out
I
of
think we've
Navy
got 3
there.
tackles under contract: Will Campbell, Caden Wallace, and Morgan Moses, and we have Marcus Bryant from Old Missouri under contract
Marcus
as well.
Bryant from
So
last year also. Yeah, I think at this point
yes,
we're counting Caden Wallace as a guard.
I agree. I'm looking at
Ooh,
either
Travis Burke right there. I know they like him.
yeah, that's true. I'm looking at I think we're good on the offensive line. I'm looking at maybe middle linebacker options, maybe another middle linebacker, yeah, just for depth purposes in case we want to use Lewis as an edge rusher. I want to see what we have to work. Bryce Botcher. I
Okay,
have
now what do you
Botcher.
like? Bryce Butcher out of
Yeah, I
Oregon?
got Botcher in the early 4th round. And I've got people at my company telling me he's a day 2 pick, not a 4th rounder. So yeah, let's get him. He's more of a true Mike linebacker than Lewis, but he can't do as much as Lewis. So let's get him here.
Okay, ex baseball center fielder. He's got a lot of range and coverage. Definitely. All right, and this is the last pick of the draft.
Can we go over my picks briefly before I make this last pick? Because I'm kind of torn on what to do here. We don't have to go over
Yeah,
each
sure,
player, but
sure.
I just
Yeah,
want
we did Elijah. Yeah,
Surratt, Moore, Stowers, Keenan, Lewis, Singleton,
we
interior
got an
offensive line
interior
after Singleton, and then we
linebacker,
got Bryce Botcher as that second linebacker. Okay,
linebacker.
yeah. What do we got? Yeah, what does the best overall player on the board look like here?
Right now, they've got Luke Altmaier as the best BPA. Caleb Proctor there.
Yeah, go
Billy
back up.
Shrout
I thought I
there,
saw
center
something.
here.
I I
Douglas.
go back up. I thought I saw something.
That's a cut.
The S. The SMU safety. Let's get him. I have a third round grade on him. Nukwobia, Isaiah Nukwobia. I think he's a free safety. Let's get him as our Jalen Hawkins replacement with the final pick. The SMU safety. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
There
my
we have it.
draft. I think we addressed
All right.
mainly every
That
need.
is Draft Utopia's 7th round draft today.
Are there some things I wish I could have done if I had additional picks? Yes, but they're very minor things. Get a fullback, get a quarterback to push Dobbs and DeVito, because I think there are a few guys that could beat both of them out, even though they wouldn't get close to Drake May. But I'm not going to complain about very minor things like that, because overall I'm pretty happy with this draft and pretty happy with the fact that we were able to address all of New England's needs and get a quality player at each pick. Were
Yeah,
there?
no, I think this draft looks pretty solid.
Yeah. So I'm pretty happy
Yeah, I
with
think
what
this
we
draft
have.
looks pretty solid. Yeah, I know you felt like you got really good value with some of these picks. I know more you felt like you would have taken in the first. You got him in the second, so that's good value. Stowers, you really like. Tim Keenan, you're real high on him, and you got him in the fourth.
I have a
Singleton and
third round
DeAndre
grade on
Baker's in the
Keenan, but the
170s.
thing is, I have him as my third best defensive tackle in the draft. After Peter Woods and Christian Miller, I think he's the third best defensive tackle in the draft. And that's how a lot of people felt about him until Lee Hunter and Caleb Banks dominated the Senior Bowl. And then that and Corleone
Okay.
struggling at the Shrine Bowl's
All
what
right.
all the
All right.
chaos. Yeah. Let's see what you got.
Well, very solid draft. All right, let me restart this simulator up again, and I'm going to have the rare my pick. All right. Let's find this thing. Do stuff, computer. Do stuff. Let's try refresh. There we go. All right. Apologies for the technical difficulties being happening right now, guys. Try this one more time, and if this doesn't work, then we're going to do this. There we go. Now it's going to let me do it. Okay. It's high quality. Come on.
Awesome. So you're up. I'm definitely curious to see what you do. The suspense is killing me. I got TJ Parker at 14th on my big board. I didn't think he was there when I picked, but this is your pick, so let's see what you do. Let's see what you do. See you cook.
My mic was off there.
Who'd you pick at 31?
What I took Blake Miller at 31. Sorry.
Okay.
Um,
That's
yeah,
well, if
but
he's
he
a
can
good
come
left guard
in,
option,
start one, and I think Morgan Moses had moved back to a swing tackle role.
okay. I like Blake Miller more than I.E. Not sure the Arizona State tackle that's built a lot of traction in Freeling. So that's a solid pick.
Okay, all right. Now let's see. Looking back here on defense, a few options that interest me. Really want to do is go and pick up a wide receiver. And look, this is the guy I like right here is Jacoby Lane.
That's the guy my co-host
Lane.
likes too. William, he loves Jacoby
Okay,
Lane.
yeah. Big guy out of USC, man. I'm telling you, I watched games this year where I thought Lane was the best receiver at USC. Specifically the Notre Dame game. I thought he looked really good in the Notre Dame game at times. All right. How do you feel about Lane's fit into this offense versus Surratt?
Bryce Bryce Lance. Bryce Lance, I think I have him one spot ahead of
No, it's him.
Jacoby Lane, or what you meant by Lane or Lane. Jacoby Lane's fit in the offense. Yes. I mean, he's got to improve a few things. Like I'd like to see more explosion on his twitch, but I also think he can make a lot of big plays and stretch the field, and that's definitely something we could use more of. We kind of have that in sprinkles with Kyle Williams, but we could have that in spades with Lane. Sorry, I got the two USC receivers mixed up,
Lane.
but
Yeah.
yeah, Lane, Jacoby Lane. We could have that in
No,
spades with
no,
Lane.
no worries, man. Yeah, no, I agree. Um, look, I'm looking at this spot right here, and I'm looking on the defense. Tell you what. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do it. I like this kid, Landon Robinson.
Landon
He
Robinson,
had a
I've got
real
a
nice
third round
workout at his
grade on
pro
him.
day.
He
He
had an
might have got snubbed
amazing
by the
Shrine Bowl.
combine, but
Landon Robinson didn't just have an amazing combine. He had an amazing week at the East West Shrine Bowl. I have a late third round grade on him myself. I think he's 87th on the Draft Utopia simulator. That's probably higher than any other simulator out there. So I think that's a great pick, Landon Robinson out of Navy. Gives you depth at both 5 technique and nose tackle.
nice. All right, yeah. No, I liked his workout at his pro day there. Real good prospect. I'm a big fan. All right. Hmm. Make a responsible decision. Oh, really? All right. Yeah, let's do that. That's easy. We're just going to go ahead and grab Anthony Lucas here in the fourth round because that's a solid pick. Then I'm going to go with Kyle. Am I? Nope. I'm going to go with my boy Ephesians Price at the cornerback pick. So Anthony Lucas on the edge, Ephesians Price at cornerback in the fourth round. How do you feel about those picks?
I don't. I'm not as high on those players, but I probably need to study them more leading up to the draft as well. I don't think they're terrible picks. They definitely address needs, but I also feel like I need to take a deeper look at them too, see what I'm missing out on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I liked Prysock at the Senior Bowl, but he's 6'3" and he's like a rock up guy,
Is
right? Like
is
just all
Prysock the
muscle.
Washington
I
corner?
think learning behind Carlton Davis for a year or two is an ideal spot for him where he could step up.
I like the two Washington corners. I'm
One of
higher
them,
on
yeah, there's
Takario Davis.
Takario Davis, and then there's Ephesians Prysock.
Yeah, Prysock's the other guy, but both the Washington corners are good.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and then Anthony Lucas. Now he's an interesting player to me because at USC he played at more like 275, 280, but he came into the combine at 256 or 259, still in the 250s. I don't know if he intends to play lighter, but if he does, I'm interested in that. I'm interested
Yeah.
in a guy that can trim down to that role and internet is not handling this well. All right. We're into the fifth round here. Oh man, that's an interesting option. Um, yeah. Yeah. No. I just like the value. Markel Bells has such ridiculous tools at 6'9", 36-inch
I had
arms.
a second on
Yeah,
him,
10 and a
but he had
half
a
inch
really bad
hands.
Senior Bowl. I do have a second on him just based on, but my grades are strictly based on upside, where I think the player is going to be in 5 years versus where they're at right now. He's very raw, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I think his upside is huge. He has top 50 upside. So to
And
get
that's the
that this
thing
late
with
in the
this pick
draft is
here.
really
This
good
is
value.
the fifth round.
Yes. So to get
Yeah, I
top
mean, like
50 upside this late is really
projecting
good
out,
value.
it's like, listen, if well, and if Will Campbell doesn't work out at left tackle and you end up sliding him in, then maybe Markel Bell's ready to step up. If Will
Yep.
Campbell does work out, then Markel Bell is a great swing tackleable option going forward behind
Yeah.
Williams and Campbell. So I think it's an
Yep.
ideal pick, really, no matter how it works out.
Exactly. And if
So right here in
Morgan,
round six, man, I really like the value here in the offensive guard position.
and this is the thing with the Bell pick, you can condition him that first year if Morgan Moses is still on the team, and then in 27 you move on from Moses, and then he's this permanent swing tackle. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And like we grabbed Blake Miller in the first, then you've got bookend tackles and a gigantic swing tackle behind them for the foreseeable future. Like your offensive line is in really good shape. It's going to be in better shape after this sixth round. I'm going to start it out with Billy Shrout out of Notre Dame, left
That's a
guard, a lot
great
of
pick.
experience.
Sneaky good pick. That's a player we added to our
Yes.
draft simulator this morning. So that's a sneaky good pick in the sixth round, because I'm telling you, Shrouth is a guy a lot of people are sleeping on. They need to wake up. I also like his former teammate Rocco Spinelli
I agree.
out of Nebraska. So
Okay. That's what I'm high on one of his teammates, Emil Wagner. I really like
Emil
that kid. He had
Wagner,
a
I have
pretty
a
strong
fourth
build.
on Wagner. You're
I
right.
think he's got the tools.
Wagner
He's got
has
to
a
put
lot
on
of
some weight.
strengths. He has some things he's got to fix, but if you fix him, he's a 4-year project. But if you fix every single one of his mistakes down to the very last letter, you're getting a guy who could be a high-end starter, maybe a borderline Pro Bowler, but he's a 4-year project. But if you put him in the right system, like New England's system, he could succeed
Yes.
there. So
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right. At this next pick here, we're at 202. I'm going to go ahead and grab Jeremiah Wright, another Senior Bowl winner, guard out of Auburn. Long term, you could potentially replace on Wayne on the right side. Big kid, 6'4", 340.
I think he could be a viable swing guard. I don't see him starting, but I think he'd be a very good swing guard in New England.
Yeah, yeah, that would make a lot of sense to me. And you know what? Here at 207, man, I'm going to do it. I'm call it pandering to the locals because I know we like this guy, but I'm going to take
No,
Connecticut out of Navy.
I have
Eli
him in my
Heidenreich.
draft simulator. He's my final 5th-round player. Eli from Navy, gadget player, running back,
Yep.
wide receiver. He actually went. My apartment's in Carnegie, but he went to Mount Lebanon High School, which is down near where my apartment is. I'm not currently not there at the moment, but yeah, Eli, he's pretty famous around here, and he's a very underrated player. I think Navy's got like 4 players I would draft. I would draft their fullback Alex Tex. I saw him pancake a Cincinnati guy in the bowl game, a defensive tackle. And yeah, if you wanted Horvath with like a late round pick, I wouldn't blame you. I don't think Horvath's going to get drafted, but I wouldn't blame a team for picking him because I think he's really good as
Hmm.
well. I really think Navy's got a lot of good players this year, at least 4 draftable players, which feels like more than they've had in recent years. Okay, I'm done with the Navy rep. Go ahead and make your next pick.
No, no worries, man. Hey, we drafted 2 of them in this mock draft, so works out well. All right. So yeah, let's just take a look at my picks here before we get into the last couple picks. I've only got 2 picks left.
There are a lot of
We went
good
Blake Miller.
players. I don't know who you're going to
Yeah,
pick here.
I think it almost,
Trey's
we've got two spots left.
Trey Zune's a
Trey
player I
Zune's an
have in my
interesting
top
option.
50, but at
Definitely.
the same token, New England's so stacked at tackle, I don't see you picking him. Eric Rivers of Georgia Tech was a guy I had in the preseason first round, but he had a really bad season at Georgia Tech after a really good season at Florida International that led him to getting in the portal. Eric McAllister of TCU is a player I have a 3rd-round grade on. I think he's still there as well. Callister had over 1,000 yards at Texas Christian. He might be a player. I don't think. Have you drafted a receiver yet? That might.
Yeah, I
Oh,
went Jacoby
you
Lane.
got Lane. I sorry, I forgot you got
Yep.
Jacoby Lane at 63. But with
Yep.
Kayshawn Booty
Yep.
having an expiring contract, I know Demario Douglas. I think he's a UFA this year. I think Booty's a UFA next year. There's a lot of Patriots that are going to be 2027 UFAs at the wide receiver position. I think Douglas actually was part of the 23 draft, not the 22 draft. So it might not be a bad idea to double up
Right.
at receiver, but there's a lot of other positions you could address as well.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I do not hate the doubling up at wide receiver bit. We did end up getting Heidenreich. He's going to be more of like an H-back type of player in the
Yeah,
NFL.
I've got him as a running back, but
What I'm going to
he's a
do here, though,
gadget
is I'm going to
player.
target a player that I know they're interested in. Yes, yes. But I'm going to target a player I know that they've shown some interest in Nate Borkshire, tight end out of Texas A&M. So he's going to go 212 here. And then I'm going to revisit the wide receiver position because here's a guy I like. I think he can help us with our red zone issues. Caleb Douglas. He ran a lot faster than I thought he was going to at the combine, too, to be honest. Um,
Caleb
I
Douglas.
thought that at 6'4",
What college
big
is he
body
on
type
again?
receiver that Douglas is. Yeah, I thought he was going to run uh, Texas Tech, I believe.
Yeah, I think we have
Yeah,
Reggie
Texas Tech.
Vick a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
allowed.
Yeah, he's
So
got
he's
great
he's six
size,
four.
but I like
He's 6'4".
Reggie.
He's about yeah.
Yeah, the
Reggie
size and
Virgil.
the 40 time really pushed him up, but I think Reggie Virgil's the better overall
Well,
player.
listen.
But
Yeah, I didn't expect that 40 time or the 10-yard split out of Douglas.
yeah,
I think he's also got 10+ inch hands, which is big for me. He's got good length arms, and at 6'4" with the vertical he put up, look, he's going to be a target in the red zone. And I think if you get him and Jacoby Lane, look, you can throw it damn near anywhere in the red zone, and someone's coming down with it.
yeah, agreed.
So we'll pull up Chris's mock earlier. We addressed wide receiver. He addressed wide receiver early in that mock, and then went edge. Eli Stowers again at tight end. So we both ended up taking a tight end. I went real late with mine. Um, Tim Keenan the third. You went with the D tackle. We both went with the D tackle in almost the same range because I took Landon Robinson at 95, and you took
And I
yours
had
at
third round grades on
120.
both guys. But I have Keegan at like
Yeah.
72, and he's my DT3, even though there are some people that don't have him in that spot anymore, mainly due to the Senior Bowl, due to Landon Robinson's Shrine Bowl, due to Corleone struggling at the Shrine Bowl. But Corleone was in that discussion before a bad Shrine week. Now he's a day 3 guy. But yeah, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Now, for the record, I really contemplated taking Kyle Lewis at the same pick or in the same range, 125 or 131 that you got him, and also Bryce Botcher. I just wanted to bring different prospects to both mocks, so we'd have an opportunity to cover different folks and their fits here.
yeah, I
But
had Bo
I think those were
Stevens at
excellent picks.
63 on my simulator. I had Bo Stevens, the Iowa left guard, at 63. I was wondering if you were going to pick him because I know he was the best player on the board at one of your picks. You didn't have a guard at the time. I was curious to see if you were going to pick him. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I like him. I just like the value with some of these guys late. I think
yeah,
the Billy Shrout, Jeremiah Wright, and a lot of times I'll see guys like Jaden Roberts out of Alabama available there, and Inez Cooper out of Miami. Those four
yeah,
guys, I'm a big fan of those guys. Billy Shrout, I think, fits better on the left, and I think the other three are probably better on the right. But I really like those guys. Inez Cooper specifically, man.
yeah,
That dude in run blocking, his hands are heavy. Okay, I mean he puts them out on linebackers and just blasts dudes to the ground. And
yeah,
it's like I really like a dude like that. He's got some size on him. And look, this Patriots scouting department has deep ties into Miami. Alonzo Highsmith was the manager of the Miami Hurricanes 2 years ago. AJ Highsmith, his son, also works here. They both played for the Miami Hurricanes also when they were playing. So deep connections throughout the scouting department into the Miami Hurricanes. I think targeting a guy like an Inez Cooper, like late in round 6, probably a good smart bet.
yeah.
So, all right. Listen, I had a couple real quick. We've got a few minutes here. Well, we're right at an hour. You want to rush to get out of here? I had a couple rapid fire questions for you.
What are the rapid fire questions? I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as possible and as efficiently and punctually as possible as well.
All right. Let's see. Let me pull them up real quick. I had to X out of everything to try and get the live simulator and the cameras to run at the same time. All right. Fast. Short answers. Best Patriots pick at number 31.
Best Patriots pick at 31. It just comes down to who's on the board. I think I saw TJ Parker on the board in your simulator. And I was thinking, that would be a really great value because I have him a few spots ahead of Surratt. I didn't know if he was available when I was picking. I was just focused on, okay, let's address this need. Because I do think Parker can do more than Derek Moore, but at the same token, I feel like Derek Moore's got a better first step. Parker might be more explosive, he might be more consistent, but I just think Derek Moore's got a better first step when I watch the tape, and the Senior Bowl kind of showed that. But both players would be
Okay.
great. Any of those three would be
All right.
great at 31. Heck, Lee
Who
Hunter, Caleb Banks would be good too.
who is your best day 3 sleeper?
Ooh, day 3 sleeper. I'm going to go FCS here. There's a guy
Oh,
that
that's deep.
there's a guy from my alma mater, Slippery Rock, Joe Cooper. He might be Slippery Rock's best offensive lineman since Brandon Fusco, who was drafted by the Vikings in 2011 and actually did earn a second contract after his rookie deal before injuries derailed his career. So, and I don't
Okay,
think
listen.
Cooper's going to have that issue. And another guy I really like in day 3, outside of Eli, as a gadget, as a number 3 running back in that Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead type role, is a Josh Pitzenberger out of Yale. It's another FCS guy I like. My colleague William told me about him, but yeah, there's a lot of good players this year. There's a lot of hidden gems in the FCS that a lot of people aren't talking about. But
Yeah,
I
no, I
like
mean,
the guy you
listen, it's
picked,
not every
Nate.
day somebody pulls an offensive lineman out of Slippery Rock as the sleeper, okay?
Yeah, I've got him at like pick 200. I don't think he's going to go before pick 200. And I would say there's an 80-20 probability he goes undrafted. But he's my 200th best player in the draft.
Okay. All right. Who's a player that Patriots fans are overrating? You see a lot of talk on Twitter. Who do they want, but you don't?
I'd say Ihi Nacho, Arizona State. That is a guy that I feel like a lot of people are overhyping. Um, you know, he's a good player, but I there's just like I think there's 15 to 22 tackles I have graded ahead of him. So it's not that it's not that he sucks. He's actually got a very good floor. I think there's 15 to 25 players that have higher ceilings, and for that reason, I don't want to draft him in the first round. And I think that's a valid reason not to draft a player in the first round. If you think there's 15 to 20,
100%.
25 guys that might be better than him, that's a completely valid reason to pass on him, take him off your board entirely. But I'm not saying take him off your board. I'm saying let's just not jump the gun and pick him at 31. I think that's fair point.
I agree with you, and I'll add in this. Viewers of my channel are familiar with Ihanachor, despite the fact I often struggle to say his name. My red flag on him is that I'm pretty sure he's 25 years old. That's for me. I'm against any rookie that's going to be 30 at the end of his rookie contract. Okay, that's
Yeah.
too old to pick in the first round for sure. I see him as a maybe second, third round player. All right, let's 2 more rapid fire questions. You have an option: trade down or trade up. You cannot stay. What do you do?
Trade down.
Trade
Because
down.
let's
Okay.
face it, if I had 2 more picks along with the 11, I'd probably take the fullback out of Navy I like, Alex Texa, and I might take a quarterback to push DeVito and Dobbs if I had more picks. But I felt like I did the best I could, and I'm not going to complain about very minor, trivial details like that because it's just not worth complaining about.
Fair
Got
enough.
to have a
Interesting. See,
positive
my
outlook.
my position is that I think they could think about trading up because I'm not sure we'll have 11 roster spots on this team. I think it was a fairly solid team, and
That's a
that you'd
great
be
point
better
as well.
served to add like 5 quality players than 10 B plus players.
Yeah.
All right, one guy, pick one player in this draft. If I gave you 10 minutes in the Patriots war room that you could just stand there and pound the table for, who would it be?
Hmm. That's tough because there's a lot of players I really like.
Oh, yeah, but you only got a couple minutes and you got to pick one.
Yes. Well, if this player falls to us, I don't think he will, but the number 10 player on my draft board is Texas middle linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. I have him graded ahead of both Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. So if he's there at 31, let's fricking get him.
Okay. All right, everyone. You heard it here first from Draft Utopia.
I
Anthony
mean, the
Hill
coverage is
Jr.,
better, the run
future Hall
stuffing,
of
pass
Famer.
rushing. I like Anthony Hill Jr. a little bit more. I think the Ohio State guys, because they're 6'3", 6'4", 240, and Hill's only like 230, 238, they're getting pushed up because of the size and the testing and the NFL
Yeah,
traits and the defense Patricia runs.
but I am reasonably certain that Sonny Styles was made in a lab. So
Yeah.
in a
Styles
Mad
is
lab, it was like a
26th on my
creative
board,
player
but
came
he's going to get
came
picked
to
in the first round. He's probably going to get picked in the top 10, maybe even the top 5. So let's just be
yeah,
real about it.
absolutely. Yeah, he probably is just off those physical skills alone. All right, listen, that's going to do it for the episode this morning, guys. I want to thank Chris Ransom from Draft Utopia for coming on, doing his mock draft, showing us his picks, giving us a little bit of insight into his process, the way he thinks about these prospects. Definitely head on over to Draft Utopia. Check out what he's got going on. What do you got coming out in the near future? And just remind people again exactly where they can find it, okay?
Yeah, Draft Utopia. We've got a NFL draft simulator. I can send you a link to that after the show. It's got about 216 players at the moment. I am going to add more players. I've got a list of guys we're going to add for round 7, and then I've got a list of guys that we're looking at for UDFAs or guys that we just need to put on the simulator because they're just long overdue for being on there. But yeah,
Okay, great. Yeah, send me that link over. I'll have that link in the description of this video. So just go down to the description, click. You'll be able to pop
yeah,
over
you
to
can
Chris's
pick for your
simulator.
favorite team, or if you want to pick for every team like I do, you can do that too.
Right. Or you could pick for your least favorite team and give them the players you hate because, there's all
I
kinds of
don't
different
have
ways
any
to mock
kickers and
draft.
punters on the simulator yet, but you can give your least favorite team the Navy fullback with their first round pick with their first round pick. So like if you're a Steeler fan, you can give the Bengals or the Browns the Navy fullback with that first round pick. Just really
I love it.
troll your friends.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again so much for your time, Chris. We'll definitely have to get you back on the show in the future,
I
maybe pre-draft,
appreciate
maybe
the invite. This
post-draft.
was fun.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. We love having folks on here, especially fellow Patriots fans. It's good to see different perspectives. We're all working towards the same goal. We want the best team that we can in Foxborough. And look, I think Chris and I gave you multiple pathways to get there today. Thanks a lot for your time again. Folks, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Check out the other videos on the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.